Hi, I'm Edd China, and What Car have asked me to talk to you about vans. Why? Well, as an inventor, engineer and mechanic, I often find myself having to haul all kinds of stuff around the country, and therefore I've owned a fair few vans in my time, and therefore I know what makes a good one. And this year, I finally got around to writing my memoirs, and I'm delighted to say that the publishers needed a whole fleet of vans to deliver all those books to all of the shops around the world. Now, put down a copy of my book and actually grab yourself a nice big Bovril, a big packet of hobnobs, and then actually let us tell you all about the world of commercial vehicles. We'll tell you about all the good ones and the ones that are about as appetizing as some truckers' lay-by lemonade. And also, to make sure you don't miss any episodes, please do push subscribe now. There is only one van still being made in Great Britain, and that is the Vauxhall Vivaro, which is proudly made in Luton. And it is a great British success story too, because it is one of the best-selling mid-size vans on the market. And in fact, fans, they have made 1.3 million of them ever since they started production in Bedfordshire back in 2001. But are you going to buy a van just because it's made in Britain? Maybe, maybe not. But I think it's important we dig a bit deeper. Not least because this latest version owes its origins to a bit of good old-fashioned continental cooperation. British built it may be, but this latest version of the Vivaro shares its underpinnings with the Peugeot Expert and Citroën Dispatch, as all three companies are owned by the French PSA group. This is an all-new Vivaro then, except it's not, because it's based on a van that was launched in 2016. Even so, it's a big step forward, as the previous Vauxhall Vivaro was not only looking a little tired around the edges, but it also didn't meet new emission standards. The Vivaro is still very much a mid-size van, but owners of the previous model may notice that it's got a little bit shorter in the back. Even so, you can now move just over 2.5 metres with a standard length van, or 2.85 metres with the long wheelbase model. It now has this rather nifty load-through bulkhead, which adds more than a metre to the total length and is great for moving pipes or pieces of wood. As well as 2 lengths for the panel vans, Vivaro buyers can also choose between a double cab, chassis cab or minibus versions. Twin sliding doors are fitted as standard, and you'll be able to move as much as 6.6 cubic metres in the biggest Vivaro vans. Also notable is a very decent weight carrying capacity, which is 1,458 kilograms. Now, as well as the load-through bulkhead, which all but the basic vans get, you also get this very nifty function. If you've got your hands full with a bit of a load, you can actually open and close the sliding doors on both sides with your feet. Very handy. Now, first up, we need to get our heads around the various engine options, because there's a bit of a tricky overlap. So if you're ready, please bear with me, because there are quite a few numbers here. Power comes from a choice of 2 Euro 6D compliant engines, with either a turbocharged 1.5 litre or turbocharged 2 litre. The 1.5 litre engine has 2 power outputs of 99 brake horsepower and 118 brake horsepower, producing 199 foot-pounds and 221 foot-pounds of torque. However, the 2 litre engine also has a 118 brake horsepower option, as well as 148 and 178 brake horsepower choices. The big difference here is not just the engine size, but the amount of torque available. That overlapping 118 brake horsepower unit produces 251 pounds-feet of pulling power, a crucial amount of extra force if you're planning on towing up to the 2.5-ton limit. Meanwhile, and for completion's sake, the highest power 2 litre engine has 295 pounds-feet, and the mid-range 148 brake horsepower choice 273 pounds-feet. The 2 litre engines are a little more refined, as well as being more gutsy, but with working vehicles you're going to want to consider the running costs, and here the 1.5 litre has a distinct advantage over the 2 litre. Average fuel economy, for instance, is officially around 8% better with the smaller unit. The Vivaro is a comfortable van to drive, and that's largely down to the fact that what's under my feet is actually borrowed from a car platform, and that really does help make it feel more dynamic and more connected to the road than many of its rivals. It's quite soft and wallowy compared to some of the other vans in the mid-size segment, but it's a smooth ride with or without a full load. The Vivaro has the option of an automatic gearbox with 2 of the 2-litre engines, and it's fairly smooth, but the standard gearbox is a decent enough 6-speed manual. What version of the Vivaro would we recommend then? Well, if you don't need to carry much weight, the 120 horsepower 1.5-litre engine really is the one we'd go for. But if you're either going to tow or operate a maximum payload, you need a little more low-end grunt, and you should probably look towards the 2-litre options. If you need the auto gearbox, then your options are greatly narrowed. But if you can do without it, then the 148 brake horsepower 2-litre would be my pick. Anyone who used to own the previous generation Vivaro has probably got their eyes on stalks right now, because it was a pretty dour place to be. But now, this is definitely a renaissance for the eyes. It looks and feels like a great place to spend some time. Except if you're a bit above average, or in fact full size, like myself. I mean, as someone who spends my spare afternoons helping our ladies reach things from the upper shelves, I'm not really the benchmark. But for some, the fact that you've got a very, very small amount of movement on the seat rails and it gives you a rather vertical driving position can be a bit of a problem. But another small gripe is the space taken up by the gear stick pod, or in this case, the massive waste of space required for the automatic dial. I mean, really, good luck to any biped that wants to try and get comfortable in the middle seat. The Vivaro's seating position is also quite low, which does compromise visibility a bit, well, for smaller people, especially as the windscreen and side windows are quite narrow. I'm not keen on the very small wing mirrors either, as they don't help with blind spots or when reversing. The rest of the interior is really rather nice though, with a fairly generous level of equipment even on the Edition base models. This includes Bluetooth, DAB radio, electric windows and mirrors, cruise control, a speed limiter, steering mounted controls and a multifunction trip computer. Mid-range sportive vans get the flex cargo load-through bulkhead, alarm, fold flat centre seat to give you a working area, air conditioning, rear parking sensors, automatic windscreen wipers and a 7-inch touchscreen with multimedia and connectivity options like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. On top of everything else, top-spec Elite models have a built-in navigation system, lane departure warning, speed sign recognition, folding electric mirrors, front parking sensors and side blind spot alert. There's also the option of a head-up display so that drivers can keep their eyes on the road, while other features of the front camera and radar-based system include forward collision alert, a drowsiness warning alert and automatic emergency braking. In summary then, the new Vivaro not only has an enormous payload, but also has a wide range of engines with the potential for some excellent fuel economy savings. And while I may be a bit cramped in the interior, it doesn't mean that you will be, so I would certainly urge any would-be buyer to give it a go for themselves. All in all, it's a really good van, and some would say perhaps even good enough to put some greats back into Britain. It certainly gets the Edd factor, and perhaps even more importantly, it gets a 4-star What Car rating. If you want to see more of me talking to you about vans, then do click subscribe, and we'll bring you more van reviews like this one. As a rather lovely added bonus, you'll also get to see all of What Car's excellent new and used car reviews as they're posted too. See you next time.